So, this video is designed to talk about Harmonize engagement insights. And if you remember, Harmonize is an external learning tool, discussion program that we have integrated into Brightspace by D2L. With Harmonize, students are able to post discussions. Those discussions can run through Turnitin. They're able to have multiple due dates. The instructor is able to include polls as well as video-based discussions. So the engagement insights piece allows us or the instructor to see data regarding the students' discussions, particularly comparing those discussions, that student's discussion to other discussions in the class, so comparing them to other classmates, as comparing their own discussions over time. So it can do both of those. Specifically, it's looking at data regarding the requirements. So how well and how much over time is the student meeting the requirements of the discussions by those milestones or due dates. The quantity or the amount of posts that they're making, again in comparison to others in the class as well as over time. The timing of the posts, so how often they are posting before the deadline. The content of the post, so looking at the complexity of the post, specifically the word counts in comparison to their peers, as well as comparison to their other discussion posts over time, as well as their connectedness, so how much they are reacting to their peers' post. Again, comparison to others, as well as comparison to themselves over time. If you're not familiar with how to access the engagement insights, you would do this through your Harmonize integration. So you would log into your D2L course, you would go to the content area, and then you would pick any Harmonize discussion to enter into. It doesn't really matter which one, but I'll pick one that I have here, and I'll just click on the name of the discussion. And then over here on the side, we'll be able to click these four pods, and if you choose that, you'll be able to see engagement insights, and that's how you get to that platform. Once opening the engagement insights, this is what it would look like. Notice on the side you would have a listing of all of your students, and you would see if they are at high risk, medium risk, or low risk based upon how their current discussions are comparing to their peers, as well as how they're comparing to discussions that they made in the past. So when you click on a student, you'll be able to see specifically for them each discussion, and each discussion will be ranked high, medium, or low. And then you'll be able to see the trend. So in this case, this student's trend towards creating quality discussions is worsening. Also, it would give you specifics as to what they're doing to making to cause this high risk. So they're making fewer posts, they're not meeting the milestone deadlines, they're making fewer comments to others, all of that. And if you were to click on outreach to student, you would be given the option to email or send a chat message to the student, and you would be able to craft an email immediately right from there regarding that, and then it would go into the outreach log so you could track that data. This is another example, so we're looking at a student who is low risk at this point. Notice it's showing that for this student's most current discussions, he or she is on track. We see that their trend is improving, so they are getting better in regards to comparing to other discussions or comparing to their own. And then we do, even with on track discussions, we see potential comments of improvement. So in this case, they're not replying to as many students as they possibly could or in comparison to their peers. So that might be something to reach out to them and say, hey, by the way, you could respond to more people if you want, that kind of thing. If you choose the Activity Over Time tab, you'll be able to see how their discussion posts are rating over time, so from the beginning of their first discussion up until now. And these are being ranked on several categories. Their requirements, so are they meeting the requirements for the discussion, their quantity, so how many discussions they're posting, their timing, how before the deadline are they posting, the content itself, so how engaged are they, or how many words they're posting, how long is their discussion post, and their connectedness, so how often are they responding and how many people are they responding to. So these are all color coded. So we can see at the beginning, this is where they started, and we can see if this is exceeding their peers, similar to their peers, or below their peers. So in certain areas like connectedness and like in timing, they're hitting below their peers at some point. But then at some point they they actually are now exceeding their peers in connectedness. So maybe in this discussion they didn't respond to anyone, and then this discussion they responded to more than the requirement. So you're able to track this over time. Here we can see in terms of the requirements, they've stayed pretty much exceeding with their peers or being similar to it the whole time. They started out with content just being similar to their peers, but now they've reached and stayed pretty much beyond the scope. So they're making longer discussion posts than are what are required. So really the things that the student would need to work on is their timing, so posting before the deadline, as well as making sure that they stay on top of connectedness and posting to others. So this is an example of one student. You can also choose to view as a table, so that instead of looking at it in a graph format, you can look at it more in a table. And so you're able to see the specific discussions that are in the course, and you're able to see up for the first couple of discussions, they were similar to peers. We see one time she did hit below in discussion 2, below peers. We can see as she's progressed into the most recent discussion, she is hitting some exceeding peers. But then we see most recently that she went back to below peers. So we saw a trend here. She was similar, she went below, similar, she went back below. So this might be an area of improvement for this particular student. In regards to quantity, she stayed pretty similar. Requirement, she stayed similar and has exceeded. So this is where you can pinpoint specifically in discussion what the trend is in any of these categories. So this is available to you now in Harmonize, and it's just again an extra tool to help you see how students' discussions are comparing to other discussions and other students in the course, as well as to how their discussions are comparing and trending over time.